Hey everyone, welcome to a good Saturday morning. Mitzi has joined the chat. Welcome, good morning, good morning. I am going to be working on quilting today, so give me just a minute and we are going to get going with that. Let me make sure I put this on the right way. Gotta love when you put your jewelry on and you can't figure out which direction it's going. Correct? Right? That's how my morning is going. Oh, no worries, Mitzi. She says, good morning, I am here briefly. Well, I may actually be here long. We are going to see how much of this quilt I can get quilted today. So that's what we're going to work on. Let me see if I've got my other camera set up where I need it to be. It's not exactly where I want it, but I think it's going to have to do. And I'm not going to be able to turn my machine light off today because I need the light. I've got to be able to see today. That is the bane of quilting. You have to be able to see. And let me make one adjustment because you guys wouldn't be able to see me otherwise. And let's see, where do I normally sit? We're going to move over. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Making sure all my cameras are adjusted and fixed and all of that. So this quilt is one that the blocks were made by my sister-in-law, one of my sister-in-laws. And they are cross-stitched. They're absolutely stunning. They were cross-stitched over 40 years ago. And she put them away because, she didn't have anything to do with them. She always knew she wanted them quilted. But there were 12 blocks total. So I came up with a pattern that she liked. And so all of the blocks have this long diamond in the middle. They have the square and the squares on the corners. So yeah, what I'm doing first on the quilting of this is I am free motion quilting around the cross stitch piece. Rob is here. Good Saturday morning. Hope you're well. Can't stay long today. I'm assembling rows on the stained glass project. Won't be too much longer before it's done. That's going to be awesome, Rob. I am looking forward to that. So here's what I'm using for my lines. Let me see if I can get it up close to the camera enough for you guys to see it. I don't think it's even showing up on the camera. Go figure. That would be my luck. So outside of the cross stitch area are dots that were supposed to be French knots. That's what the original plan would have been when these were printed onto this fabric. It would have been dots for French knots. And she never went back and did the French knots. So I am using those as my quilting lines. So it's not accurate, it's not exact. If you saw my quilting lines, you would still see quite a few of the French dot lines. Like they're not where they need to be. But they're close, and that's what we're going to go with. Close is good enough. Mitzi says, beautiful, and hello, Rob. Glenda says, good morning, Tammy and everyone. Good morning, Glenda. Glad you made it. I apologize. I got a little bit of a tag hanging off my thumb. There we go. Got it enough. Got to get some caffeine, too. It's caffeine morning. So, one thing that I do when I quilt, even though I've got a little bit of table room, my drink always goes behind me, and my hair always goes up in a clip. So I apologize if it doesn't look super stunning. My hair will not look super stunning today. There's just no way around it. But it has to go up. It has to be off of my neck a little bit and has to be out of my face so it's not falling in my face. Yeah, it's not pretty, but it will function. It will function. So who is form over function and who is function over form here in the chat today? I'm definitely function over form today. So I am quilting on my Bernina 770. This is Beauty. And I have a Bernina stitch regulator foot that is on my machine. So what that does is that I can set my stitch length and the machine will take care of the rest. I don't have to worry about my stitches being uneven. I just have to worry about them being straight. It won't fix the stitches not being straight. That is not in the machine's capabilities. Rob says whatever works, right? Right? It is definitely a whatever works kind of day. So I take one stitch and then I'm using my scissors. I don't know where my stiletto is, so I'm just using the edge of my scissors to pull my threads up. Now I don't have to hang on to them because I don't with this machine. They will lay pretty flat where they are, but the machine will take care of how fast the needle is going. You know what? Let me see if I can do this without this light on, so that way you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. We're gonna see if no, I can't see enough. I can go ahead and tell you right now, I cannot see these dots well enough to see without the light on. Andrea's here. She says, howdy, everyone. Good morning, Andrea. I saw you in Donnell's chat, I know. Glenda says, good morning, Rob. Looking forward to seeing the finished product. I am too, Glenda. I'm looking forward to seeing Rob's stained glass quilt. That's going to be exciting. Oh, goodness, machine. Thank you. It's because I went back and forth about the light. So give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I can't see the chat while I'm actually stitching. I have the foot pedal all the way down. So it is, the speed of the needle is actually dictated by the speed of which I'm moving the fabric underneath it, because the little eye on this foot is what picks up the movement and tells me if it is moving fast or slow. Now if I do move the fabric too fast, the machine will beep at me. On this project, I have not done that yet. I think I'm a little too terrified of this project to move it too fast. Oh. Yeah, your machine better not die on you, Rob. It better not die. I'm going to threaten it with a hammer if it decides to die on you. Because I can't fly to Florida to come fix it. I used to fix sewing machines. That used to be part of my job. But I can't fly to Florida right now to fix it. It'd be more expensive for me to fly there than just to get a new machine. So your machine better not die. We're going to tell Rob's machine it's not allowed to die. Alright, I did not pay attention to what I was stitching. So you guys are going to get to see your first ripping out of the day. Glenda says, beautiful quilt. Thank you. It will be beautiful once it's actually finished. I have had this quilt top done since December last year, since Christmas Day. And I have not done anything on the quilting on it because I knew it was going to be a bit of a hassle. This was not going to be an easy quilt to quilt. And my husband was on me the other day. He's like, well, why haven't you done her quilt? And I was just like, well, because like there's reasons. There's reasons I haven't done it. And he didn't understand. And then I pull it out. And so I started working on it 2 days ago. So not yesterday, but the day before. Chloe is joining the chat. She says, hello, Ola Tammy. Welcome in, Chloe. Today is going to be a day of chit-chat and quilting. So he asked me why I haven't worked on it. And I said, because. And he's like, why? What's because? And it just didn't make any sense to him. He's like, well, you really need to get it done. You know, you need to stop working on all these other quilts and get this one done. And so I pull it out. And you guys, I have done 3 blocks total. If I had stayed in here a little bit longer last night, I could have gotten this one done. And I didn't. So, you know, that was on me. I should have just gone ahead and stayed and gotten this one done. And then I would have had 4 blocks across 2 days. Which means for 12 blocks, it's going to take me 6 days to do this quilt. And work on nothing else. And he's like, why is it taking you that long? I was like, come in and watch me. And so he did. And he's like, oh, that's why it's taking so long. I was like, yeah, because this is custom quilting. This is custom quilting, and it's heirloom. It's an heirloom project that she worked on. So I can't just, you know, quilt it however, because I don't want any stitching to go through the stitching that's been in this fabric for 40 years. Like it can't be. It can't go through it. It's not okay. So you got to do the stitching following these French knot lines, because they didn't come out in the wash either. Because I washed all of these blocks before I put anything together, because there was no way. I mean, there were some of them that were stained really bad, and just from being in storage. They were just stained from storage. You know, my sister-in-law's not a nasty person or anything, so don't think that. It's just stained from being in storage and stained from the oils on her hands from when she worked on this 40 years ago. You know, it's all that combined with them being, you know, just sitting for forever. So they needed to be washed. So I washed every last one of these blocks by hand, scrubbed them, all of that to get everything that I could out. I mean, they're still stained, but they're not as bad as they were. And then my husband was like, well, I guess if you want to put that project back up and work on the other ones, you can. And I said, no. At this point, I have it pulled out. I have everything set up for it. If I go work on another project now, then I am going to be paranoid that I'm never going to get this one done. I'm never going to want to come back to it. Oh, Pam is in the chat. Welcome in, Pam. I promise I am looking up. First full work week after my surgery. Oh gosh, that's rough. Yeah, definitely a good day to lurk and listen. It's like me going on a trip. After a trip, I am so over it. I'm so over it. I'm not sure I want to go anywhere or do anything. All right, let's see. Okay, I have brought my thread up. All right, just seeing where I'm at, you guys. Chloe said, Pam says she's not bouncing back like she did years ago. Met with surgeon Thursday, and we're planning tests, or we're planning on another surgery. Hopefully not an urgent situation. Oh gosh, yeah. Let's hope not for another urgent one. Urgent ones are not usually in the patient's best interest. They are referring me to a specialist that I will see this week for my wrist, and they can't figure out what is going on with my wrist, so they're referring me to an orthopedic specialist to see if they know what's going on with my wrist, so that I don't have random people just cutting into me to figure out what's going on and how to fix it. So, yeah. Chloe says, I hope no urgent surgery. Rest up, Pam. Yes, absolutely. And Glenda is also saying prayers to Pam. Yes. Agreed. Very much agreed. This is basically what we're going to be doing all day. Is free motion quilting. And I really wish I could see these lines or see these dots without this extra light on, but I cannot see them. They're not very faint, but because it isn't a continuous line, I think is why it's harder for me to see it. And maybe that's why you guys couldn't see it on camera. Is because they're designed to kind of fall into the background once they're stitched over. The only problem is they've been in this fabric 40 plus years and they kind of need to be stitched on. Oh yes! I did miss your comment, Andrea. Thank you! She says, I see you hit the 400 sub mark. Yes, thank you. I did. And YouTube is actually agreeing. And when I look at my analytics, YouTube's actually agreeing that I'm now at 400. I'm so excited. I'm 100 away, and I'm less than 100 watch hours away. So I'm more subscribers away than I am watch hours. I want to get monetized mainly because it's just one of those goal things. I'm not trying to be monetized to start like channel memberships and all of that. I'm not trying to dip into everybody's bank account or whatever else. We're just dipping into YouTube's bank account. Mitzi says, congratulations. Thank you, Mitzi. Thank you. I did not think in January when I started my channel that there would be any chance I'd be this close at the end of August. I did not think that at all. I thought it was going to take me a year. So I was planning that I would not hit monetization until January 2025. So to be this close already, I'm really stoked. I really am. And I think I'm finally getting back into the swing of, my normal life. I think my summer of misdirection is finally through. I'm finally starting to catch my channels that I usually watch. Pam, Chloe, and Glenda all say congratulations as well. Thank you. You guys have made it possible. So, I mean, I'm not to 500 yet. I'm not to monetization yet, but it's still really cool. I'm super excited. I told my husband, I was like, yeah, I'm at 400, and he's like, well, how many until you get monetized? I said, just 100 more. He's like, oh, is that all? Like, yeah, that's all. He's like, oh, well, you'll hit that in no time. I'm like, thanks, honey. I was like, can you go create 100 YouTube accounts and, like, subscribe to me? He's not going to do that. He's not going to do it, you guys. We're not going to game the system. Oh. But I do enjoy doing this. I do enjoy being on the channel. I do enjoy having you guys as a community. And I enjoy sharing and maybe inspiring a little bit. If I inspire a little bit, then that like makes it worth it. That absolutely makes it worth it. My dots are underneath my foot, so I have to, like, when they're underneath the foot, I have to take a little extra time and caution so that I don't, like, blow past them, because they're not the same place. They're not in the same place on every one of these blocks. This is the 4th block. And, I mean, I'm doing as best on Connect the Dots as I can, but them not all being in the same spot, there's no, predictability to getting them all right. How many of you played those Connect the Dot things when you were a kid? I kind of liked them, but they were super boring for me because I would sit there and I would figure them out before I even started connecting the dots. I was not a very good let me figure out the surprise person. I was always figuring out the surprise before I did anything. So, but that's basically what this is right now, is just a needle and thread version of Connect the Dots. And I was trying to do this with the walking foot initially. Like, I had it set up for the walking foot, and the first block I got about half of it done, maybe, with the walking foot. And then I just decided that was too much. I was having to finagle the quilt and wrangle it and all of this other stuff. It was such a mess. Let's see. Andrea says, I do not know what happened with my channel, but I went from 38 to almost 100 overnight. That really shocked me, since the only thing there is my pattern releases and a few old videos. Yeah, when you start releasing patterns, Andrea, people are going to start subscribing to your channel just in case. Glenda says, haven't sewed all week, taking a break, seeing what might inspire me to make next. Well, this is just finishing a project. This one's not making. Oh. And once I'm done free motioning this block, I will come back and we are going to go around this block. Or have I already done this one? I think I've already done this one. Let me see. I've already done this one. I stitched in the ditch around the So around each of these blocks, this dark blue, I've stitched in the ditch following the dark blue. And then the next thing that we're going to probably do, I'm debating on whether I go on to the next block because it's in the next row, or if I do the stitch in the ditch before I get there, because I've got more stitch in the ditch to do. You know, I think we're just going to go on to the next block. We're just going to free motion as much as I can free motion today. Andrea says I need to take care of my rabbits before it gets too hot. I'll be back in a little bit. Absolutely, Andrea. I will probably be here. I will probably be here. All right. Let's see where have I pulled up my bobbin thread yet? Let's see. Have I cut my bobbin thread? No, I did. All right. Good. We're good. All right. So now let's see. I've got 3 little outside portions to get. And then I've got another big internal portion. So I'm going to do the outside portions real quick. That way they're already done and I don't have to worry about it. So in stitching this, because it is free motion and I'm not a pro at free motion, I am not double stitching over anything. So you know how some quilters will like stitch to one direction and then they back stitch to go, you know, off wherever they need to go. I can do that on the long arm, and with a ruler I can do that just fine. Without a ruler I cannot do that very well. So I'm not even putting that into the equation of what I'm expecting myself to do on this quilt. Now, does this look as good as what it would look if it were hand quilted? No, but there's no way I can hand quilt. This would take me 3 or 4 years to hand quilt, if I could even do it. Chloe says that she's cleaning but wants to cut background for cut and chiseled. Apparently I can't cut half yards since it's a little short of 18 inches. I will make it work. Yeah, and that's one of the joys about that pattern, is because you don't have to have, like, so the half square triangles on that, if they are not the full size, you can cut them 1/8 of an inch shorter. So if you can finagle 1/8 of an inch, then you can do it that way. You can also sew 1/8 of an inch seam. I wouldn't sew 1/8 of an inch on your half square triangles. I'd still do that 1/4 of an inch, because you were going to be pulling it on the bias. You're going to be pulling it apart on the bias to press open or to a direction or whatever. But you can get by with less than 18. If it's any consolation, Chloe, I did not, my fat quarters and my background were also not, they were not 18. I was doing a lot of finagling. So they were supposed to be, I'd have to pull it down. If you'll remind me what size were we cutting for the squares for the half square triangles? Was that 6 inches? Because if it was 6 inches, you cut 5 7/8 and you're still good. And then like the strips, you still need them cut. The rectangles, you need them cut at the right size. But the squares for the half square triangles, you have 1/8 of an inch give on that. And then if you use a scant quarter, yeah, okay, so yeah, you can cut 5 7/8. So you can make up your 1/8 of an inch there. And across 3, that's going to be, just over 1/4 of an inch. So 3/8 of an inch. So it's still less than half an inch. So, you still have a little bit of give room there. And then, worst case scenario, if they are significantly shorter than that, on the 18, then when you sew your half square triangle units, I would not do the diagonal method. I would, or the seam tape method. I would do the draw your line method, and then sew a very scant quarter of an inch. Don't go down to an eighth of an inch because that's too risky because your fabric may come apart. You could, if you do have to sew an eighth of an inch when you do half square triangles, lower your stitch length. So, like if your machine typically stitches at a 2.5, lower it to a 2 or even a 1.5 or not 1.5, but 1.75 or something like that. So lower your stitch length to compensate for the fact that you're going to put a lot of strain on that seam. So you can go down to an eighth of an inch on your half square triangles should you absolutely need to. I don't recommend that part where you skimp, but definitely do a scant quarter so you have a little bit of trim room. But if you have to go down on that, you can. Just make sure you lower that stitch length. That way you're not repairing a quilt in 6 months because your stitch length your seam allowance was too small and your stitch length wasn't compensated for it. I wish I could tell you how many quilts I have had to finagle and do beyond a scant quarter, like a smaller than scant quarter, and how many quilts I've had to do an eighth of an inch seam allowance because I did something wrong or I overcut or undercut or whatever. But I've lost count. I've done it quite a few times. It's not what I recommend everybody try to do, but, there's always that worst case scenario. When our predecessors were making quilts, when quilting really kind of got its start, quilting was not about the art of the quilt. It wasn't about the accurate seam allowances. There was a lot that wasn't in the cards because it wasn't important to them. What was important to them was making use of whatever they had on hand, which means that sometimes their fabrics weren't as big as what they would need, so they had to poverty piece. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could do. Mitzi says, don't rely on the tape. Ask me how. I know 16 squares layer. Drawing a line is the best route. Do it while watching TV with the family. That's how I spent my evening last night. Okay, so I did diagonal seam tape, or I do the diagonal seam tape on a lot of my projects when I do the half square triangles. However, it's real easy to get ahead of yourself and not be as accurate. And when you have to do any kind of adjustments or finagling, I use the word finagling a lot. When you have to do adjustments or finagling, you need to have that, you need to have a little bit more accuracy, and you're not going to have that with the diagonal seam tape. It's definitely easy to get ahead of yourself with that seam tape. It's great because it's fast and it's simple. Same thing with like the laser lights. Those who use the laser lights, it's really easy to get ahead of yourself. And it is a time saver. Don't get me wrong, but it's it's if you're going to have accuracy problems, that's where it's going to become, or that's where it's going to start. Deb is here. She says, good morning, Tammy. Good morning, Deb. I'm glad you made it. Thank you. We are working on quilting a quilt this morning. I have been working on this for 2 days straight. My husband asked me, well, why haven't you worked on so-and-so's quilt? And now he understands why. Joyce is here. She says, hi, Tammy and everyone. Welcome in, Joyce. Long time no see in my chat. Thank you for being here this morning. Glad you made it. Glad. Very glad. Skies in Casper are clear. How are the skies where you are? I was talking to my friend in Buffalo last night, and she is not on an evacuation order, which is really good news. We have guys, if you want to be praying for something, we have a fire here in Wyoming that, as of last night, actually, you know what? Let me just do the right information from the get-go. Let's see. The house draw fire was uncontained as of last night. Okay, updated 17 hours ago. It's burned 174,387 acres. And it is currently uncontained. There is no containment on it. It has jumped over I-90. So it has shut down I-90, and some of the other roads across the state are shut down because it is not safe to travel them. So you guys be praying that we can get that fire contained. Joyce says, sorry, I've had a migraine for a week. Oh, you are fine, Joyce. I just noticed that you weren't here, so I've been thinking about you. So I'm glad you're feeling at least a little bit better to be here. Having had migraines, I've been having a couple of breakthroughs myself. The meds that I am on have been doing fantastic about keeping it at bay until probably the last 4 or 5 days. And I don't know if it's related to these wildfires or not. I did not have exposure to wildfires when I lived in the southeast, so I do not know. I do not know if that is a trigger for me. So I guess we will find out. Everybody's saying hello and prayers. Chloe says, sorry to hear it is uncontained. Yeah, that's been the hardest part about it, is that, this is my first time dealing with an uncontained wildfire this close to home. Now, granted, it is not endangering my life or my property here, but it is still disheartening because there's so many people that it is affecting. Joyce says, went to doctor yesterday, gave me a shot. Oh, I'm hoping that is helping. I am hoping for you that is helping. They have not been, well, I guess there is a shot that I could take. I'd probably have to go to the ER, I'm thinking. The last time I had a complex migraine, I ended up in the ER. So I really don't like those. Those are definitely not cool. Definitely not cool. Sorry I'm getting quiet, you guys. I'm in a section where I was having to go backwards across my foot and can't see the dots. Oh. Mitzi says, welcome, Joyce. I understand migraines. Smoke is a trigger for me. Yeah, it probably is for me. I'm going to assume that it is. We also have, starting in a few hours, our next fire warning hours. So you know how you get thunderstorms and warnings, all of that kind of stuff. This is going to be a fire alert warning. Our humidity is between 13 and 18%. We have gusty winds that are not like one direction or anything. It is just whichever direction it decides it wants to come from. And the unseasonably warm temperatures too. It's 73 and windy according to my computer right now. And I can tell that it's windy. I mean, it's not super windy right now. It's not like break down the door windy, but it is windy. So for those who have not been here the whole time, what I am doing is I am free motion stitching, following the dots that were left on these pieces from what I would assume would have been French knots that were supposed to be put in. So I'm using that as my quilting lines. And granted, my quilting lines are not super accurate or straight, but I'm doing my best to connect the dots that I can. And I think I did a better job connecting the dots with my walking foot than I am with the free motion. But if I was still doing walking foot for all of this, I don't think I would be even this far. Joy says Casper has always been windy. Yes, it has. That's what I was looking at. I do like it though. I like the wind. I just want to get my vehicle back because I want to go up the mountain and go sit at Crimson Dawn Park. I enjoy the air quality up there. I enjoy all of that kind of stuff. Yes, I am Mitzi. She's asking if I'm using the BSR, which is the Bernina Stitch Regulator. I am. I actually have two of them. I used to own a Bernina store, and somehow I ended up with one, and then this machine came with one, so I actually have two. So yeah, I am using a BSR. There's no way that my stitches would be this accurate trying to follow the dots without it. And I am still going slow enough that it is not beeping at me. I have not found a single section on this where I can go full speed. So the machine is basically taking that over for me, so I don't have to stress about it. So I get to push the foot pedal all the way down to the floor, and it, keeps up with me everywhere else. So for those who are not Bernina owners or who've not had exposure to Bernina, what the BSR does is it is a stitch regulator. So if you've heard of, a long arm having a stitch regulator, it is very much the same thing. The stitch regulator on my friend's long arm, her sit-down long arm that she has, I want to say hers is a baby lock, so don't quote me, but that's what I think it is. Her stitch regulator, I've never seen anything like it. You clip it onto your fabric, so as you're moving your fabric, it's like reading the table. So there's a lot of things that I think could go wrong with that, in my opinion. I'm not fond of the design. But I haven't used her long arm extensively to know, how well that works. But the Bernina stitch regulator foot has a sensor in the bottom of the foot. If I turned the overhead light off, you guys would see it. There's a red light that shows up underneath the foot, and that is the foot reading the fabric as I'm moving everything. And I can tell that it is reading it fairly accurately, because when I speed up, the needle does speed up, and when I slow down or stop, it does slow down and stop with me. So it's kind of like, your presser foot, your foot pedal speed. When you sew, you adjust your foot pedal speed to how fast you feel like you're sewing. Well, this presser foot is telling the machine when to speed up or slow down based off of how fast I'm moving the fabric. So I'm not having to think, and I'm not having to use my foot to do it. The machine is using its foot to do it. Something like that. It's its foot, it's the computer, it's whatever. I just know it works. Now that's got me questioning, Mitzi, do you have a Bernina with a BSR? Or have you been looking at getting one? I personally like it. It's not something that I have used extensively because I've either had a long arm or I've used walking foot or dual feed. I haven't used the BSR a whole lot. I really haven't tried to use it a whole lot. This is, I think, probably going to be my first big machine or big project to use it on. She says she used it on her 730, not used on her 770 QEE, and she does have the BSR. Yes, this is my 770 QE, and it is, because it have the embroidery, it is also the QEE. So yeah, that is what I'm using it on. It is an expensive foot. Bernina does not make it cheap, but it is definitely well worth it. Alright, I think I ran out of bobbin, because I have some bobbin, or some threading coming up. So let's see what I'm doing on my bobbin. And it didn't tell me, and I think it's just because I'm moving so slow. So let's see what I got. Yep, I am out of bobbin thread. At least I know how to pull my stitches up and all of that kind of stuff. So I've used an entire bobbin on this quilt so far. And this is my 4th block. So there's 12, so I'm going to use at least 3 bobbins, if not more. I'm going to use probably 4 bobbins on this quilt. Mitzi says it came in her package. Awesome. Yeah, I don't remember. I think it did come with this machine. I think it did. Now, I've got... Now, what's really funny is, so I've got the one that I pulled out for this project is the one in the newer packaging. Or the newest packaging that I've ever seen. It's this packaging. Like, this is what the label looks like on it. I have the one from the older packaging too. So I have one with different packaging. And it's still in my closet. I mean, I've got it. I believe I've got it. I want to say I've got one in there. I mean, I stored them right next to each other. So, I mean, this is just the one I grabbed. But, yeah, I've got 2 of them from being a Bernina dealer. It comes in handy. I'm going to pick out a few stitches so I've got enough. And I'm just using a straight pin, one of those, like, ball head pins, to pull these stitches out. And I've got an easy threader needle, and that's what I've been burying my threads with. So I will end up burying my threads. I just haven't been doing it today yet, but I will come back and bury threads this afternoon. That is what my job will be this afternoon. Oh, my bobbin thread is not long enough to do this, guys. Alright, we're going to fix it. Let's see. I'm opening Happy Mail, a large package from a small quilt store, backing fabric. A few 1-yard cuts and a few patterns. Awesome. And my chat disconnected for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Mitzi says that she has both packages too. It's amazing to see how much Bernina changed their packaging design throughout the years. Alright, I can close the bobbin case. And let's pull up the thread where I want it to be. That's close enough. It's close enough. Let's see. Come on. There we go. So this thing on top of my machine. Oh, you guys can't even see it. I'm sorry. This little thing I got at Quilt Wyoming. This is cheater fabric. It's not actually pieced. But, and you see all my thread cutoffs. But they put 4 little, like when they brought the sides up to sew the sides. Some people's, they put the little pocket things on the outside. This one, they put them on the inside. And they use this like yellow flower print on it. And then they put buttons on each of the 4 sides. So it's a little fabric basket. And so what I've got in here, I've got my little thread clean out tool. I've got like a whole bunch of those, but I just put one in there so I can get to it. I've got my tool to change my needle with, which I do a lot when I'm doing embroidery. And then I have stuck my easy thread needle in here and my straight pin that I'm using to pull threads. So that's what's in there. So in case you guys see me reaching up, that's what I'm reaching up for. Is I am reaching up for one of the many reasons that it's there. I am leaving incredibly long thread tails, so that's part of the reason I'm running out of thread too. My thread tails is because I am burying this all by hand. I would rather have too much than not enough, and I have plenty of this thread, so I'm not worried about running out. Oh, yay! Chloe just says that she just finished her last dish to wash. That's awesome. Glenda says, so cute. I like that. I do too. I mean, I didn't like it at first because I'm not really fond of the colors, but it's functional, so I'll deal with it. Donnell is here. She says, hey, Tammy and everyone in the chat, about to head to my mom's to visit with her and want to stop in and say hi and give a thumbs up. Thank you. Donnell says, super cute, Tammy. Yes, thank you. Like I said, it's cute. I really would have liked different colors, but they weren't giving us options to choose different colors. So, you know, and I wasn't going to steal somebody else's, like I wasn't going to trade with anyone and give them the one that I didn't like as much, color-wise. It's functional. It's not my favorite colors, but it's functional. So it might be enough, you know, inspiration that, you know, one day I will make my own so that I can get rid of these awful colors, you know? So I'm not too disappointed. All right, so let's do these last 6 inches that I couldn't do because I ran out of bobbin. And then we are going to go over and we are going to go to the next block. And I think I'm just going to leave it set up for free motion quilting, and we'll just free motion quilt today. And I'm not going to worry about going back and stitching in the ditch until later on. Because then I can do a whole bunch of stitch in the ditch and get it done very quickly. I do have my presser foot hanging out nearby. If you guys have never seen how easy it is to change feet on this machine, that would be the thing for me to show you. It is so stinking easy to change everything out. Alright, so this is the block that we just finished. They are huge blocks, you guys. They're like 17-inch blocks. They're huge. So just ignore the extra threads hanging around. And my quilting stitches are not perfect. Like, they are not even close to being perfect. And they're not perfectly following the dotted lines. But I think it's a great accent to all this hand cross stitch. And when I was putting my necklace together this morning and putting my rings on it, I had to take my rings off, you guys, because it was literally catching the stitches, the cross stitches. So do not hesitate, you know, if you're working on an heirloom quilt, do not hesitate to take your rings off, to, you know, take those extra precautions to protect the quilt, because you never know how long it will actually last. So we're trying to make this last as long as possible so that my sister-in-law's granddaughters can have access to this quilt. She was originally saying, well, you know, I've got 3 granddaughters, let's divide it among the 3. Now she's got one additional one and another one due in November. So now she's got 4 and a 5th is on the way. So there's no real good way to split up 12 blocks between 5 grandchildren. So this quilt is going to be a one and done. I don't know what her intentions originally were when she was putting these together, other than just something to craft with. And she just has not taken any time throughout her career years. And she is still working. So she's not taken any time throughout her career years to take that extra time for herself to get back to crafting. So this is kind of the least I can do, is to get this quilt together for her. And she is going to pay me for it, so it's not a free quilt. It's not, you know, just out of the goodness of my heart, but I do need to get it done. Maybe by this Christmas it will be done and bound. I mean, I think it'll be done well before then at this point, because I'm that close to it now, with already starting the quilting. That is always half the battle, right? Andrea is back. Welcome back, Andrea. Glad you made it back, sweetie. The rabbits are doing good, I hope. I hope. I am so looking forward to starting that Fab Farm project in January, you guys. I'm looking forward to something fun and cutesy and all of that. But before we start that, we are starting Land That I Love in November. And if you guys have not already picked up your books, I know a couple people have already picked up their books. If you guys have not already picked up your books and still want to, there is a link in the Facebook group. And I don't remember if it's a Tuesday night or what day the link is in, but it's in some of the YouTube channel descriptions. So we're gonna see how many of these I can get done. We're gonna hang out today. This is gonna be a long day. It's not gonna be a short live, unless you guys want me to, call it. Chloe says I should start the Fab Farm in January. I have the pattern. See, exactly. Andrew says the bunnies are happily eating, water is full, and all is well in bunny world. Perfect. Gotta keep the bunnies happy. The bunnies are important. Yeah, and Chloe, we are doing Fab Farm as a block of the month. So it's going to be a really long block of the month. It's not going to be like a super short one, because there's so many blocks to it. And I think Sean is coming along for some of it. I know, gosh, what's the other one? I think it's Furry Friends or something that some people have. There's like another one, another Elizabeth Hartman, that some people are doing instead of Fab Farm. Chloe says, good idea, Tammy. Yeah, see, I don't want to do 4 cows and, then, immediately go to like 4 sheep. Like, I want to be able to work on 1 animal a month and, just spend my time with it and actually enjoy the process. And Elizabeth Hartman patterns are always cutting intensive. They're always cutting intensive. So I need to plan to have enough cutting time. So Land That I Love starts in November, and it is going to be block of the month. And I'm aiming for it to be done in July next year. So 2 months here, and then 7 months in 2025 for Land That I Love. And then Fab Farm, I don't remember how many animals are in it or how many different blocks are in it, but like when there's sunflower, there's 4 of them. We're gonna do all 4 in the month. Nancy, good late morning, y'all. Good morning to you, Nancy. Andrea saying, howdy again, Donnell. You have Mom a hug for me. I think she's already headed out. Mitzi says that she needs to head out. She has a quilt class Zoom. And Donna's Zoom today. Might put you on TV. Talk to you later. Everyone take care. Stay safe. Thank you, Mitzi. Thank you. Yeah, bees, strawberries, sunflower. There's something else too. There's a couple of them. And Glenda's saying hi to Nancy. And we're going to actually hang out a while today because all I'm doing is free motion quilting. So it is not like I can chat while I quilt. I know you guys can't like zoom in to see like up close. And I can't turn this light off. I've tried already. A couple of times I tried before the live and then tried once I started the live to see if I could turn this light off. And I can turn the light off, I just can't see. So I can either turn the light off or I can see. It's one or the other, it's not both. So I do have a lot of starts and stops in this. So the center of each of these is a circle. So that is its own creation. So I do stop after the circle. And then there's 4 of these petal inserts or leaf inserts. And they're just like a leaf design, like a petal design, or you know, the peel, like orange peel design. So that's, I'm stopping after each one of those and, you know, cutting my threads. Let's see. Seeing is important. Andrea says. Yes, exactly. Yes, Mitzi. She says, don't forget, thumbs up. Yes, please, you guys. Please let YouTube know that you guys still are enjoying my content. I appreciate that. Nancy says it is best for you to see. I love the monkey. That's funny. Yeah. I mean, let me see if the lighting in here has changed enough. Okay, this part I could probably see. I could probably see this one. Let's see if I can do this one without it. The other ones I couldn't. But this one I probably can. So the lighting's changed a little bit in here. I could turn this overhead lamp, this lamp thing on and probably see better. Let me see if we can do that, if that will help. Okay. Change it to white. Get it off that yellow, I think. There we go. And let's see if I can do this without blinding you guys too much. And let's see. Okay. If that is blinding you guys too much, please let me know and we will adjust it. I might be able to see with that. That might be enough. It's definitely not as bright as what I have on the machine. But that means that you guys might be able to see a little bit better. And you can tell me whether or not you see the red light on the presser foot. This is that BSR, the Bernina Stitch Regulator foot. And it uses the red light, the red laser light, to be able to see what's going. Andrea says that is better now. I can see what you're doing. I could not see before. Yeah, I know the light on this machine is fantastic for me, but it is awful for you guys because the camera just cannot compensate for how much light that is. I mean, I can sit in the dark and sew, and that light is only 50% brightness. Like if I turned it 100% bright, then I would be blinding you guys even more. But yeah, if you guys can see, that is fantastic. That is kind of what I wanted. I wanted you guys to be able to see. Now, I may not be able to do this for the whole thing. We're going to see. We are going to see if I can see, all of the lines. But these little peels, they're a little bit easier. It's amazing how much it changes when you can see what you're doing, right? And my quilting isn't suffering too much either. So, like, my quilting is still not perfect, so don't come at me for my quilting. But it's not too far off of what it was. I'm surprised you guys cannot hear the TV out in the living room. It is college game day, you guys. Football season has finally started. I need to post in the community, but I may have to post on my Facebook. My husband has decorated the living room ready for fall and ready for college football. We have these little gnomes that have their hats look like footballs, like they're the color of the football, and then they have this white stitching. Nancy says, "Do you have feed dogs up or down?" I have them down. Anytime you're doing free motion quilting, whether it is on a Bernina or any other machine, if you are doing free motion quilting, you do want those feed dogs down because you need the fabric to be able to move. If you do not have a way to put your feed dogs down, there are tools out there to cover your feed dogs with. And I do recommend like one of the plastic or metal tools to cover your feed dogs with. Don't just try to tape over them because you don't want to leave residue on your feed dogs. But there are ways, especially if you have an older machine, where you can't put the feed dogs down. It's work with it. Joyce says, headache is coming back. Gotta go for now. We'll watch replay. Absolutely, Joyce. Please take care, sweetie. Please take care. Laura says, hi, Tammy and everyone. Sorry I'm late. I was dealing with my dad. No worries, Laura. Glad you are here. Thank you for making it in. I appreciate it. Lots and lots and lots. So today we are free motion quilting. I've already done one block today. I finished up one block today. So my quilting lines are the straight lines. The very thick lines are actually cross stitch. My sister-in-law did those about 40 years ago. And so we are now putting quilting stitches to it and putting everything together. So I've had this quilt top piece since Christmas last year, and I just had not gotten around to actually getting it quilted. And my husband said something about, well, why haven't you quilted so-and-so's quilt? I'm like, what? Because it's difficult. It's not easy. And he's like, well, what's so hard about that one? He now understands. But this is also teaching him a lesson, because now everything else that I was going to do is put off until this is done. So the other things the other 2 or 3 things he was asking me to do cannot be done until this quilt is done. So therefore, he will remember that if you pester me about a quilt that you want done immediately, I will get it done immediately, but the rest of everything else gets put to the side and you don't get a say about it. Yes, I am using it as a teaching moment, guys. Shh. Laura says I have to get my rear in gear and finish the binding on a quilt and get it quilted for my new little great nephew. Yes. Well, now is a great time to do it. Now is a fabulous time to be working on it. You can work on it while you listen. And I, like I said earlier, I think we're gonna run a while today, because you guys are giving me motivation to actually get this quilted, and I'm not stopping and getting distracted so much. I probably played more on my phone yesterday than I actually quilted. I think that's why I didn't even get 2 blocks quilted yesterday. Because it's one of those that it's a beautiful quilt, and I'm in love with the quilt, so don't get me wrong. But there's just some times that you just don't want to do it. Andrea says, I'm going to switch over the TV so I can press fabric for the pattern I'm currently writing. I need to figure out measurements, so I'll no longer be able to chat, but I will be with you. Oh, awesome! Awesome, Andrea, that works. If it's any consolation, I can't chat while I'm writing a pattern either. I still have to finish pressing the fabric for the one I'm testing for Andrea. That was one thing that got put on hold when the husband asked why this one wasn't done. Chloe says, we like to hang out with you. I can live vicariously through you. There you go. I do not mind. I do not mind a bit. And once I open this door and go out into the living room, it's going to be football everything. And don't get me wrong, I am SEC fan. I'm football fan, all of that. It's not soccer, it's not golf, it's not tennis. I can watch it. But I need to get this done. And if I go out there and start watching football, I will not come back in here and work on this at all. And it will be another 3 or 4 days before this gets any progress made on it. And so the husband also asked me, we have been putting quilts on the wall to decorate the dining room. So I've got a quilt rod thing hanging up in the dining room. And I've got a Christmas quilt, and then we've got a springtime quilt that's still hanging up on the wall. And he's asking, well, don't you have a fall one you made? I was like, not yet. So he's asking me when I was going to make the fall one. I said, well, we can go to Hobby Lobby and go ahead and pick out fabric, but fabric wasn't on sale, so we have to wait until Monday to pick out fabric. So he's going to want to go Monday to go pick out fabric. I've already shown him the pattern of what I will do, and it's super simple, you guys. It's going to be super simple. I think you guys will be quite impressed with how quickly it goes together. If you haven't already done one before, I am doing a version of a jelly roll race. I just got to pick out all the fabrics, and I have got some kind of fuzz tickling my nose. So maybe it's loose batting. That's what we're gonna go with. It's loose batting. And I can't see my dots. They're under my foot. There we go. We are out from underneath the foot. Yeah, when these dots are right underneath where the back of the presser foot is, it is so incredibly hard to see, you guys. But I had no control over this original pattern. This is how it came to me. So I didn't get to design nothing of it. Oh, I'm just following the lines that were already drawn. And that's what we're going with. Laura says, my husband is my best and worst enabler. I always spend more if he is with me at a quilt shop. See? Okay. So, gosh. Alright, in Utah, he went in the quilt shop with me. I came out with Land That I Love and the book. And a couple of other things. He was with me at the quilt shop in Cody, Wyoming. I came out with my Pumpkins and Potions fabric kit and pattern and supplies and everything else. The only one that I've done without him was Fab Farm. Fab Farm I chose by myself. He was not with me for that one. But I will say we'd had a heated discussion the morning that I went to the quilt shop where I got Fab Farm. And so I think because we had a heated discussion, and then he made the mistake of telling me if I see something that I want, get it. I took that opportunity to go ahead and get it. So yeah, it's one of those. But yeah, aside from that, he is absolutely my worst enabler. Because if he is there, if he falls in love with something, he's going to want to see me do it, and he's going to encourage me to do it. And yeah, it is a real problem. But you know, at least he's taking an interest, right? That's what we're going with, is he's taking an interest. I apologize, the dots are underneath the presser foot again. Every time I go up towards the top of the quilt, they're going up underneath my presser foot, and I cannot see them. Ah. Okay, there we go. I'm through the worst of it. Oh, my lines look like they were under the presser foot. I've decided with this quilt that finished is better than perfect. So that is what I am going with. And I think my sister-in-law's cross stitch is absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, she wants it in a quilt, but she honestly didn't think her cross stitch was worth anything. I was like, oh yeah, this cross stitch is gorgeous. She actually ran out of thread at one point, apparently, because she's got 2 different colors of threads in this entire project. And they're both like the same kind of blues, like they're both these like blue gray kind of, you know, cloudy blues, like these dark storm cloud blues, but they're not the exact same shade. So I don't know if she bought different floss at different times and finished it, or what happened. But so she thinks her cross stitch isn't worth much. I'm like, no, your cross stitch is gorgeous. My stitching is probably not going to be worth what the cross stitch is worth. So we're seeing. We're seeing what we can do. And then she has a yo-yo quilt that, okay, here's a question for you guys if you want to be thinking cap day. I've got a yo-yo quilt. She salvaged it. She does not know who originally put it together. Like, we don't have any of that information. Somebody was throwing it out, just quite literally throwing it out. Like, not even like, here, come take this before I throw it out. It's just flat out throw it out. And so she salvaged it so that it wasn't actually thrown out. But it is in true yo-yo quilt format. It is just the coverlet. It is not like multiple layers or anything, so there's no quilting involved. It is just the piecing of the yo-yos. And my sister-in-law wants me to do something with it to make it useful. So I'm thinking maybe shadow box it, like shadow box some of it. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? What would you do with a yo-yo quilt that you don't have, like, we don't have any information about who made it, so we don't, like, there's no sentimentality to the actual yo-yos or the fabrics used or any of that. And there's sections where it is falling apart. I mean, so there's you know, a good reason that it's not on someone's bed or whatever. But what would you do with a yo-yo quilt? Or what have you done with a yo-yo quilt? I mean, I shouldn't really call it a yo-yo quilt. I should call it a yo-yo blanket. Or, I don't even know. What do you call it? So yo-yo coverlet? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. And I've been debating on this for like a couple years now, because she gave the cross stitches to me and the yo-yo quilt. She had her husband bring it down to me before he moved up here. So the cross stitch blocks and the yo-yo quilt and a t-shirt quilt that I was working on for a client all got transferred up here with me, and they were all in one box, and I labeled it with like red duct tape, purple duct tape, yellow duct tape. Like, I labeled it with all kinds of duct tape so that I knew that that was the important box that could not afford to get lost. Like, my jewelry was in one box that was like that. These quilts were in that box, or a box like that. Like, these were the boxes that I watched them get loaded onto the truck, so I knew that they were on the truck with us. And I watched when they got unloaded, and they all went to one specific location so that they could be the first boxes that I opened. I have moved too many times to not take that kind of role with packing important things. Like, I mean, I had my important documents box too that was labeled like that, but my jewelry, mine and my husband's jewelry, and the quilts that I'm working on other people. Ooh, that's a great idea. Glenda says my mother-in-law made me yo-yo pillows years back, and I love them. So it's just the front yo-yos, and then the back is like a different material, and then they're lined. Is that what was done with them? I could totally do like throw pillows out of them. And I've got muslin, so I could put muslin behind the yo-yos. And just make sure that I quilt it together. Yes. Awesome. Okay, yeah, I like that idea. I think my sister-in-law would like that idea too, because then she could actually gift them to the granddaughters too. Because they do not have any grandsons yet. It is all granddaughters. They're about to have their 5th grandchild. Oh, yes. And ruffle? Oh, okay. So the ruffle is made out of the yo-yos, or the ruffle is made out of the regular fabric? The complementary fabric. Oh, there's a yard sale I need to go to today, guys. So I may not be able to stay on too much longer. I just thought about that. There's a fabric yard sale. Somebody is doing a major de-stash. And probably by the time I get there, all the good stuff will already be gone. But, you know, you gotta try, right? I just remembered that I said something about that last night to my husband. Mike is here. He says, hey, Tammy and friends. Welcome in, Mike. Regular fabric, says Glenda. Awesome. Okay. I like that idea. I do. I think that's the best idea I've heard of. Oh, 400 subscribers. Yes. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. You are part of the reason that is possible. You and everyone else sitting here in this chat. And that is another reason I do have it set to subscribers only in the chat most days. Other than the fact that it's easier to keep track of. Is because then you have to subscribe, right? You know, a little self-serving on that. Let's see. All right. My knee lift was coming out. It does tend to come out on this machine. I do not know why. Maybe because I'm so rough on this machine. Beauty puts up with a lot for me. So what we are doing today, Mike, is I am frame motion quilting some quilt blocks. This is a queen size quilt. There are 12 cross stitch blocks that my sister-in-law cross stitched over 40 years ago. And so I am, yep, gotta subscribe to chat. Yep, that's exactly how it works. So my sister-in-law cross stitched these blocks about 40 years ago, put them in the closet, and kind of forgot about them. And she had even picked out like a flat sheet Mike says, ooh, that's so pretty. I love blue. I do too. I am so glad that it is not like greens and yellows and such. I mean, not that it wouldn't be pretty and not that it wouldn't suit whoever, but I struggle working with those colors sometimes. Especially picking things that look good together with greens and yellows. They're just not my typical colorway. So blues were really kind of fun. And you guys, to tell you how modest my sister-in-law is about all of this and about how beautiful these are. Okay, so you see how beautiful the blocks are, right? Okay. I picked up the fabrics and I picked out the fabrics. And these are all Hobby Lobby fabrics. So this dark blue with the fern pattern, this medium blue also kind of like with a sprig leaf pattern, and then this white with the blue flower print. I picked out those fabrics because I feel like they go really well with the cross stitching she did, and they really exemplify the florally of the pattern without being overpowering. You guys, I sent her pictures and went, what do you think about these fabrics? And she's like, I think those are too fancy for my cross stitch. I was like, no, they're not. I was like, your cross stitch is fantastic. There is nothing, these are not too fancy to go with your cross stitch. So no, you were good. I really feel like she did a fantastic job on these cross stitches. I mean, and granted, they've been in a closet for 40 years, but they're well done enough that I was able to wash them and block them and all of that without, I mean, it was a little bit of work, so don't get me wrong. It wasn't like super simple because, you know, they've been in storage for so long, but they held up gorgeous. Mike says, yes, her work is so good. Yes, it is, right? But like a true crafter, you know, I don't feel like my quilting is going to do her cross stitch as much justice as I feel like it should. But I am finally of the opinion that done is better than perfect. Because I want her to be able to enjoy this quilt. Because she deserves to be able to enjoy this quilt. So this is more about getting it done so she has a chance to enjoy it and experience this design, this idea she had coming to fruition. So yeah, all of that. So if you guys have seen some of the other videos that I've done recently, where I was testing a block for a client's quilt, and it took me, I think, 6 tries or so to get the block right. This quilt, I also tested the blocks, the stashing on this. I did a ton of testing to get this sashing right, because I knew once I cut into it, like once I cut the blocks to size, that there was like no way I could alter the sashing at that point. So not all my points match. I'm not good enough for that, apparently. But I tested the sashing like 8 to 10 times. Like it took me months to test the sashing and get the sashing right, because these long diamonds are so incredibly difficult to do. So I'm glad I finally got it tested and got it working. Joyce is here. She says, hey Tammy and everyone, welcome in, Joyce. Glad you made it. You know what? I may just skip the yard sale. Oh, I gotta fix this, you guys. That one's not gonna. I can't leave that one. I wasn't holding my tongue the right way when I started stitching, and it looks awful. So I am. Anytime that I am having to change where my needle starts. Like I can't do continuous stitching. I am tying off my thread. And I am leaving a lot of extra thread on this right now. It will all be buried. So it's not gonna sit on the quilt top forever. It will be buried. But I am having to, if I do something like that, I am back stitching it out. I'm not leaving it in long enough to forget that it's there and forget that it needs to be back stitched out. Oh, I have to watch replay going into the pool with kids. See you later. Absolutely, Chloe. Enjoy. Enjoy. Wish I could go get in the pool. Our pools have been down here at the complex lately. They have not gotten our pools working. And I don't know why we pay so much for rent when half the time our amenities don't work. It's aggravating to me. Alright, so now here's the challenge. So this is on that middle row, and although it's the last block down, with the direction I need to stitch to be able to see, I'm going to have quilt bundled up underneath. So now it's a matter of making sure that I give myself enough room with each stitching row that I can stop and move my quilt if I need to. So when you get to this point where you've got a lot under your needle or a lot under your throat plate, make sure you give yourself enough break spots in your quilting. Like you plan enough, that way you don't run into you're overstraining yourself. Tell them the rent is in the pool. I wish that would work. They're not as understanding as they really need to be. I'm just gonna put it that way. At one point last summer, because the pool and the hot tub were both down, which the hot tub I don't think has worked most of this summer. The hot tub is still broken on our end of the complex. We would have to go to the southern complex, which involves driving all the way over there. We would have to go to the southern complex to go use the hot tub, which is a smaller hot tub and a smaller pool. But when we asked, because both hot tubs were down last summer, and so we asked, well, can we get a discount on our rent because the hot tubs aren't working? We're paying for amenities we're not able to use. And they said, well, you don't pay for the amenities. All you're paying is for your rent. And I'm like, yeah, and who pays for the amenities? I was outside trying to get a little yard work done, and 2 pit bulls chased me in the house. Wow, I didn't know I could move that fast at my age. Oh no. It's not cool that they were chasing you. It's not cool. And I know this is hard to, so don't take this wrong. If you are ever in a situation where you are being chased or you feel like you're being chased by a dog, what I have been told to do and what I have done in the past is that I will stand up, just stand as firm as I can, stand up, turn towards the dog, hold a hand up and say no. And that has always worked for me. When I was a kid, I did get attacked by a dog, and apparently the doll that I had in my hand, the dog thought was his toy. So he wanted the doll in my hand, and I wasn't giving up the doll. Yeah, exactly, Mike. I agree. He says, you don't pay anything for the amenities unless they raise the rent for them. Yeah, they raise the rent every year. You can only sign a 13-month lease. So you can't sign like a 2-year lease and have your rent locked in for 2 years. Because that's totally what I wanted to do when we moved here, is lock my rent in. To give us time to be able to find a place to move into and find a house and all of that. And so, but they wouldn't let us do more than a 13-month lease. And, but yeah, they definitely raised our rent. We're like, no, this is too much of a rent raise. And we had to argue with them about the raising of the rent. Because we're like, no. I do the same to people at work, Tammy. Stand up and put your hand up and say no. Is that what you're talking about, Mike? If you are, you're my people. Yeah, so yeah, I was attacked by a dog when I was little. I was probably 2nd or 3rd grade, something like that. And the dog thought my doll was its toy. And so the dog was going after the doll, but I got scratched and bit in the process. They couldn't find the rabies papers, so they had to put the dog down. And I ended up being terrified of dogs for years. Oh my gosh, years. Like I was seriously terrified of dogs. And then since I have gotten, when I got my first dog, he would rush me every so often. And I learned that trick, and it works at the dog park too. Like if I'm at the dog park, if a dog is running up to me, I will just stand firm, not move aside from my hand, not move, and just put my hand up and go, no. And I yell it at him. I mean, I yell. I don't, I'm not nice and, pretty about it. I yell. But it's enough that it startles the dog. And then the dog realizes that I am probably not the person to bargain with. Now, I do have a friend, or I had a friend that her dog would not have obeyed that. Her dog feeds on people being scared, or fed on people being scared, and she'd back people into a corner, and she wasn't going to hurt them, but she thought it was funny to back people into a corner and barking and all that mess. I mean, you thought she was going to do something, but she never did. But she would only do it to people that were scared of her. So if you were scared of her, she could feel that emotion, and she would feed off of that emotion. So, that can also play into a dog coming after you. So I don't know if those dogs, that you encountered today, they had get hurt in their eyes. I hear you, Joyce. I hear you. There were a couple of Pyrenees, about 5 Pyrenees dogs, and Pyrenees are cattle protecting dogs. They are very, very dominant, protective dogs when they're raised to be. But that's their personality. That's their breeding going into that. And my neighbor had those dogs but couldn't keep them in his yard. And at one point I was getting chased by a couple of Pyrenees, and I stood up and turned around and didn't know. One of the dogs just kind of hung out for a second, and I did have my service dog with me at the time. And the dog that kind of hung out and stood around for a minute, he started like taking one step towards us, and my dog went woof. And the other dog turned around and walked away. You just gotta have the scariest dog. That's all it is. You just gotta have the scariest dog. Alright, I heard something go off. Okay. Oh, good. Hang on. Guys, it's amazing. Okay, house draw fire. The one that has burned, it burns 174,691 acres here in Wyoming. It is 25% contained. Guys, that's amazing news. That's what I just got notification of, is that the fire is 25% contained. That is not, it's not a lot contained, But 25% is a lot better than the 0% contained report that, I was reading just a couple hours ago. I mean, an hour and a half ago, honestly. That was where we were sitting an hour and a half ago. It was not contained at all. No containment. So now they've got 25% of it contained. So that's really good news. That's a big improvement. Because once they start getting some part of it contained, as long as weather holds, then it should be a little bit easier to get the rest of it contained. In my opinion. That's my opinion. I am entitled to be wrong. But I feel like that's really good news. That it's 25% contained. Alright, so now we are in the middle of the quilt. There's this block and one other that are just going to be, no matter what I do, there's always going to be one other block on the side. So I'm either going to have a block that I haven't quilted, or I'm going to have a block that I have quilted stuffed up here. And so I may change which block is there. I think I will when I go to the next one. So we're going to see how far I can get. We are going to see if I can draw a circle. We're going back to kindergarten. Can we draw a circle? I'm not sure if I can. It is definitely not a perfect circle. These dots aren't in perfect circle shape. So it's about as good as I'm going to get. So I've got scissors, I've got a straight pen, and I've got a easy thread needle. Do y'all call them self-threading or do you call them easy threading? What do you call them? The packaging said easy threading. But what do you guys call them? Do you call them easy thread or do you call them self-thread? Is the self-threading ones the ones with the slit on the side instead of the back, and the easy threading are the ones with the one on the back? Because I can't remember. Because these are the ones with the slit on the back of it, so you can like pull it in from the back side. And my thread is shredding, you guys, because I am being careless. So bear with me just a second. I am trying to pull my bobbin thread up. There we go. Let's see. There we go. Got it started so I can get a pin in there and pull. There we go. It's just tight. That one was tight, and I don't know why. We will see. Alright. Putting my scissors in here somewhere. There we go. Alright, now I got it trimmed. Alright, so now we got 4 little leaves to do. Leaf, I don't know. Petal. It's whatever this shape is. It's like that orange peel shape. Laura says, Joyce, I'm not afraid of dogs in general. I have 6, but when I see a pit bull, I'm nervous. My niece and her fiance were attacked by theirs and they had the dog from a pup, and one day it went crazy. Yeah, so here's the thing with, okay, here's my take. Here's my take. And this is without knowing the dog. So here's my take. So little dogs, and I'm cautioning it with that. Little dogs are typically raised differently than bigger dogs. And I know that sounds like I'm categorizing every dog, but most little dogs are raised differently than big dogs. They're raised to be, because they're cute and they're less likely to cause major damage, they're raised with different standards. And you don't typically know that there's a problem where a little dog is going to snap until all of its warning signs have been ignored, because the warning signs are so much smaller for a little dog and people have ignored them for so long. Unfortunately, that same thing can happen with a larger dog as well, where the dog's warning signs get ignored. So the dog could have had warning signs, but it could have been ignored as, oh, this is cute, or this is, just something that my dog does. Anything like that can have happened. I'm not saying that's what happened in this case, but it can happen. My husky started going after my service dog. So my first service dog was also a British Lab. He's solid black. He's the one that just passed away a few months ago. Or not even a few months ago. About a month ago. And he started attacking my service dog. Now, neither of those dogs would ever bite me. But when I was separating the two of them, if they had gone after each other for whatever reason, I would get bit. So I have been bit by my own dogs, but it's because they were going after each other, not going after me. And I have actually had to go, my first service dog, the one that just passed away, I actually had to go to the ER one day to look at whether or not they wanted to stitch me up because a bite from my service dog at the time had done some pretty significant damage to my hand. But it was because he went after my puppy the same way that he'd been gone after himself. And it was one fluke. It was one fluke. But, some signs and symptoms that I had missed was the reason that he did it. I mean, I can look back and see, but that's because I have spent years learning dog behavior because I was trying to figure out if there was any way to salvage my husky, who had started being very food aggressive and going after other dogs regularly. And there just wasn't a way to salvage my husky. He was in too much pain. He started having hip problems, and we couldn't afford the medications for him. So we did end up having to put my husky down, and it was because he was becoming so food aggressive that I was in danger. So, it happens. It happens to the best of us. But that was what flipped for him, was he was in too much pain and he was not willing to put up with the other. When my service dog did it, we were able to identify the root cause and prevent that cause from being a situation again. Mike says I have to say I've had nothing but lovely, sweet pit bull interactions. I am Dr. Doolittle, though. All animals love me. Joy says, Laura, I'm not afraid of dogs either. My neighbors have pit that come visit me, but I've never seen these two before. Better be safe than in the hospital. Oh, yeah. Now that I agree. If you don't know the dogs, if you are not confident in your ability to control the dog or be able to maintain control in the situation, it is definitely better to be safe. Absolutely. Laura said they had the dog for 7 years and he was petting the dog and she suddenly attacked him, then her. They're animal lovers and treated the dog well. They both ended up in the ER. Oh my goodness, yeah. Yes, Joyce, always better to be safe. Me too, Mike. Glad you're safe, Joyce. Yeah. I don't disagree. I completely understand that, it was just, they were just petting and suddenly attacked them. I'm just saying that there could have been something else that they didn't see. And I don't expect everyone to have that kind of understanding and knowledge. An outsider is going to be able to see it better than people in the situation. If somebody had seen what my husky did when he was being food aggressive, they totally would have seen it well before I did. Because they would have been looking for it. Like, they absolutely would have been looking for it. And that husky took a lot of work, you guys. he was the baby. And you know that he took a lot of work just to, you know, we wanted him to be with us and to hang out and, you know, still be part of the family. But when I was not able to adequately control the dog, he became a safety risk. So yeah, it happens. It happens to us. It happens to all of us, especially when we don't see it. I agreed, Mike. He says, glad you're safe, Joyce. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is always better to be safe than to be not safe. Although I can be food aggressive. Oh, Mike. That's funny. See, I'm the rollover passive, you know, person when it comes to food. I'm not going to be the food aggressive person. I may play like I am. No, I'm not food aggressive. My husband loves tacos. And he'll fight over, you know, making sure he gets his tacos. Like there's all kinds of things that like he would totally have issues with. I am not like that. We go to a restaurant or something and I order something and you want a bite, as long as I'm done, you're welcome to it. Once I am done, you can have whatever leftover food that you want. Don't touch it while I'm eating it, though. You know, if you touch it while I'm eating it, then we might have a fight. And as long as we, you know, a taco fight. Oh, gosh. That would be a waste of good food, right? A waste of good food. My husband is definitely the taco person. I think Andrea was saying she was a taco person, too. I do not have a favorite food. And that, I know that sounds weird, but like I can go to a restaurant and be the, I can be like, it could be my favorite restaurant. There's like one restaurant in this entire country that is like my favorite restaurant, and I don't live near it anymore. And it's not a big chain, so I can't, it's like a mom and pop kind of place. So I can't go get what I want. But even that, like my favorite dish there are days that I didn't order that. It's not that it's not good. It's just that I wasn't worried about ordering my favorite food. I am not food motivated. Like, I'm not even dessert motivated. Mike says, I said I had the last delicious morsel. I agree, Joy. She's laughing at Mike. Oh. Now, I've been to restaurants and with friends, and they're like, well, are you going to eat that? I'm like, no, I'm done. She's like, can I put that in my to-go box? I'm like, absolutely. I'm done with it. You want it? I do not have a problem with that. I'm not going to eat after you, but you can eat after me. I will not stop you. I will not stop you. All right, so this is block 3, you guys. That's how far we've gotten. We are on block 3. This may be the last one for now, because I think I am going to need to take a break. But I will get this one done, because this will put me at halfway done. And so between this quilt being halfway done, or having done 3 blocks, I think I can come in here later and I'll be motivated enough to get going and go a lot further. Joy says, let's see, I've never asked for other seconds though. That was odd. Yeah, it did seem odd to me, but I'm not going to stop someone. I mean, if that's what they want, I will oblige. Joyce says, speaking of food, I have corned beef cooking in the crock pot and peas cooking for now. More coming. Oh, that's awesome. Mike says, oh, Joyce, that's what the doggies wanted. Right? Right? You know, dogs have that fantastic sense of smell. Alright, for those of you who have dogs, so my boy loves to play hide and seek. Do you know that I've had to teach my husband how to play hide and seek properly? I've never thought of that. Like, you can have my seconds, but I'll talk about you later. That's funny, Mike. That's hilarious. So we will get my boy Paladin. We'll get him to like lay down or sit so we can go hide a toy, right? Well, my husband would go hide the toy and come straight back to Paladin. Like, he'd go one place and that would be it. So like, let's say we've got him laying on the bed in the master bedroom and he hides it in a chair in the dining room. And my dog would go straight to the chair and find it. Like, he would go straight there. No problems. I don't do that. When I go hide something for my dog, I go hide it, but I stop a couple places before and I stop a couple places after. So like, I might hide it in the dining room chair, but I will have gone to the laundry room, gone to the bathroom, gone to the kitchen, gone to the living room, hid it in the chair in the dining room, gone to my studio, gone back to the living room, gone to my husband's desk, and then I'll go back to the dog and tell him to go find it. Well, me walking all these extra places and touching all these extra things spreads my more recent scent, so the dog is confused. So he actually has to use his nose to find his toy. Well, my husband didn't understand this originally, because he's like, why does he keep finding it every time that I hide it, but he doesn't find it when you hide it? I was like, because I walk 5 other places and put my scent places so that it's distracting, so he can't find it initially. And that gives him, more of a brain workout to go find this toy. So he did that. I psych out the doggy. Yes, I do. So he did that this most recent time. And he's like, oh my gosh, he's looking in the bathroom and he's looking in the laundry room. And it was here in my studio. And my husband was just so excited that, he finally psyched out the dog. That he finally got ahead of the dog. And I'm like, all it takes is you got to know how their brain works. You got to figure out the doggy brain. I got all these loose threads from hanging off of all my untrimmed threads, unburied threads. Once again, I use this technique at work. Oh, there you go, Mike. Oh, that's funny. Now I got to ask Mike, if you're allowed to tell me, what do you do for work? Because now I'm curious. Why are you psyching people out at work? Oh. These quilting gloves are great, but they definitely stick to extra threads very well. So all these loose threads were hanging out with me. If you're not allowed to tell me, I understand too. If it's, if I tell you I have to kill you kind of thing, no. We're not going for the 6 feet under option. You're a purchasing agent. You psych them out because I work with you work with some ID10T errors. Okay, gotcha. Oh, did I actually say that? My bad. if you caught what I said, then you can let me know in the comments that you caught what I said. I used to work in the tech industry, and when you got someone who's especially unwilling to follow directions, because either they were unwilling because they thought they knew more than you, or because they just could not follow directions. That's what they were called. Mike says, I say worse. Oh, I would under my breath, but that was all I could say in person. I was a sweetheart in person. My former coworkers probably have no idea half the stuff that I was thinking. And that's probably the safest bet for them. Oh, I did enjoy working. Like I did. I enjoyed a lot of my colleagues. A lot of them were worth hanging out with after work, that kind of thing. It is not a panel. No, it is not. These cross-stitch pieces, they may have been printed panels. I'm not sure if these were like iron-on designs or what. But my sister-in-law, one of my sister-in-laws, she cross-stitched them. So this dark stitching that you see, that is her cross-stitching. And they do have the printed dots for French knots. But I'm stitching on those lines. So I don't know if these were like pre-printed or if it was like one of those iron-on things that you can buy to learn to embroider. I don't know how she bought these, but there's 12 of them. So I don't know how she came across it. But it's been 40 years, so I'm not sure if she remembers how she came across it. I haven't asked her, honestly. But no, I pieced this into a quilt for her. She wasn't sure originally if she wanted it divided among the 3 grandchildren she had at the time. So each one would get like a 4-block dresser scarf or something. Not all IT techs know what they think they know. I spent 6+ hours online with them this week and uninstalled and reinstalled Teams 7 times and it's still not working properly. Oh gosh, right? Oh wow, that's different. Yeah, it is. Like, I don't know. I know like Walmart, last time I was there, because I don't go to Walmart all that often anymore. My husband does all the Walmart stuff for us. So, I mean, I'm in Walmart every so often, but not very frequently. They have, like, those iron-on embroidery design things to make, like, pillowcases or I don't know what all designs. And I would almost say that that's probably what this was. But these dots are not, like, from block to block, these dots are not in the same spots. So, like, there is no consistency. So I don't know, maybe this was something that she drew. And that may be why the markings did not wash out. So I don't honestly know. So, it is what it is, but I think it's coming out great. Doing it this way, and it's giving the dots some kind of purpose. Susie has joined the chat. She says hello. Welcome in, Susie. Andrea says hi to everyone that came in while I was ironing. My legs are giving out, so I have to sit for a while, but OMG, the batiks that Lisa gifted me are beautiful. Wait until you see my test blocks. I'm looking forward to that, Andrea. She might have to make a lap quilt out of them. Yes, absolutely. Please do. And please share it in Sew and Tell so you can be entered again. Or have you entered Sew and Tell? I think you have. You need to enter Sew and Tell. So I'm giving away a quilt in October. So you guys who've not heard, if you are not in the Facebook group, you need to enter Sew and Tell. Sew and Tell runs on a 6-month cycle. So our first big giveaway is in October. After the October Sew and Tell, the following Tuesday I will announce the winner. We are going to do a drawing for the winner, and the winner is going to receive a quilt. It is a lap size quilt. I made it. It was a mystery quilt project that I did at Paducah one year, and it took me a while to finish it after I came home, so it was not all done at Paducah. And then I paid to have it quilted, and then I bound it, and it has been loved a little bit, and now it is ready to go to its new home, and that is the Sew and Tell giveaway. So it's not a generous lap, it is a smaller lap quilt. But it is still ready for its new home, and that is the Sew and Tell giveaway for October. And I have not decided what is coming up in February. Yes, I think, or no, March. Darn, when is 6 months from October? November, December, June, April. So I've got to figure out what the giveaway will be in April. But everyone who enters Sew and Tell gets entered for the giveaway. You do not have to enter multiple times if you don't want to. Just once is plenty. But the more times you enter, the more entries everyone gets. So if somebody enters 20 times, everybody gets 20 entries. So those who are entering a whole lot are putting everybody in the drawing extra times, which is fine. I don't mind. But everybody gets an equal opportunity to win. But you have to enter in order to be part of that. And Sew and Tell, it does not have to be a completed project either. So it can be a block that you have put together. It can be a non-quilty project, or a non-quilt project. It could be like a pot holder. It could be like a little basket, a little bag. You know, it could be any number of things. So I'm not putting a limit on that. But yeah, so if you've not heard about that, please go join the Facebook group. If you're here live, you can do !group in the chat, and that will give you a link to the Facebook group, so you can go join in. We don't put spam in the group, so if you're wanting to put pictures of t-shirts that people are selling, please don't. I don't want to have to silence you again. I do silence the people that do that. The promotion stuff can't be going on. Not doing the promotion stuff. If I do, I am going to end after I do this block for today, or for now. But I may come back online later and do like an impromptu, like come hang out live while I work on quilting some more. So if you guys do want to come join me back later this afternoon, that may be something I do. Because I think I'm getting more done this way than I was when I was doing it by myself and watching all these other lives. So did everybody else get off of their lives? Like, is that why we have a group here? Is that what's going on? Because I know Donnell got off of hers because she came in and said hi before she went out to go see her mom. I know Russ was going to be going live because he always goes live at the same time that I do. Haven't seen him in, so he may still be alive. I don't know. I doubt it. That's 2 hours. It's pretty long. Let's see. Are you doing an after dark tonight? I could. Normally my Sundays are my after sunsets. But I probably could do an after sunset here today as well. Throw in an extra one. Because I will not be going live next Saturday. Next Saturday I will be painting barn blocks with my local quilt group. We are going to be painting barn blocks. I get to design my own barn blocks. Oh, I did not trim my thread somehow. How did that happen? Okay, got that out of the way. I'm not sure, but I think Katie has a live in 3 hours. Okay, that makes sense. I may check out and see if she's going live, because I don't want to try. I'm not trying to interrupt anyone else's live. But you know, I may still go live anyway. Just because I do better, I'm apparently doing better quilting this when I am live, because again, this is getting the 3rd block done and I have 6 more blocks to go. So another another 2-hour lives, I could have all of the rest of these quilted and just have to do Stitch in the Ditch. Which Stitch in the Ditch I can get motivation for. Stitch in the Ditch for some reason seems to be easier for me to do, and I'm not sure why. Maybe because there's less pressure to be artistic. And it's more about precision. This I feel like is really artistic. And I struggle with art. If it's not math art, I can't do. I'm not an artist. I'm a math artist. I'm not a draw artist. I'm trying to support as many of my friends as possible, so sometimes I have to pick and choose. I understand, Andrea. Oh, I totally understand. I was having to do that too for the longest. Like picking and choosing. I mean, I finally caught... Who did I catch last night? I caught Donna, and then I caught Becca. Like, I cannot tell you guys the last time I caught either one of them. I literally have just not had the ability to catch them because either I've had too much going on in my personal life, too much going on, you know, in my own world, or I haven't felt good enough to, like, be on YouTube to watch them. Like, I mean, guys, I've literally struggled just to keep my head above water. And I know if you guys haven't caught Luane's most recent, I haven't seen if he posted anything else today, but I think he posted it yesterday, if I'm not mistaken on my days. He posted his post, and it was absolutely worth watching. Absolutely worth watching. And it's very real. It's very real. It can be so difficult to keep our mental health intact while trying to run a channel because we are so emotionally invested in everything that goes into our channels that it's hard to separate what is, you know, the most important to focus on. And that's why I always want to say at least once every weekend, if you haven't taken time for your mental health, please do so. Please take that breather, take that breath, take the moment to make sure that you're checking in with yourself and make sure that you are okay with everything that you've got going on your plate. Humans were not made to be solitary creatures. We were not made to be solitary creatures. Whether you believe in creation, whether you don't believe in creation, if you look throughout history, humans do not do well when they are solitary. We are social creatures. So it is very important to make sure that that social aspect is met in the healthiest way possible for you, because we all manage it differently. Even those who are social butterflies need a break sometimes, and even those who are introverts need a break sometimes from being introverted. So please, whatever your mental health needs are, please make sure you are taking care of those. Please make sure you're taking that time for yourself. You are not replaceable, no matter who you are. You are not replaceable, and you do matter. Whether you feel like you do in the moment or not, you do matter. And it is so very important to take that time. And I've had to do quite a bit of that lately. Just taking that time just to give myself the room to breathe, so that I don't throw in the towel. And like get rid of my YouTube channel and like all of this other stuff. Like I've just had to take that time. And it's important that, if I have to take that time, that you guys realize that it's okay to have to take the time. It is not, it's not just because I have a YouTube channel that I have to take the time. It is because I am human that I have to take the time. The YouTube channel just happens to be, something that would potentially suffer if I didn't take the time now to take care of myself. So it's always important, you guys. Okay, I'm off my soapbox for 5 minutes. This is the last stitching on this block, you guys. Oh, my machine's hot. My machine's been running too much. It likes me, but it doesn't like me. No, I'm just kidding. My machine likes me. It's still running. It's humming along. Beauty is not mad at me. I was just waiting for the chat to move and nobody's chatty. Everybody's quiet and listening. Oh. I really am thankful for you guys to be here. I really am. Even if you guys weren't, the fact that I could be here and possibly inspire someone, that is what I'm here for. That is what I'm here for. Even if I stay at 400 subscribers forever, I will be happy. I might be a little aggravated at times, but I will still be happy. Just to know that I have inspired one of you is good. Mike says, I'm watching and listening. That's the plan. That's the plan. Alright, I'm going to move the quilt again. Now, if I was walking footing this whole thing, which you can do, I would be sitting here wrestling with this so much more. Like this would, no joke, this would be all I would be doing, is wrestling with this. So when I started that first block, this is all I was doing, is I was stitching a little bit, and then I was having to wrestle with the quilt. And I was only stitching like a corner block. Like I wasn't even stitching in the middle of the damn I wasn't stitching in the middle of the quilt, guys. Oh, please, YouTube, don't cancel me. But I was not even stitching anywhere near a hard section of the quilt. Like I was stitching on the outside edge, and I was having to wrestle with the quilt just to get a little bit of it stitched. And I was spending so much time wrestling with the quilt that I wasn't spending any time hardly quilting. So that's why I went ahead and pulled out the stitch regulator foot to do free motion and do, monitored free motion. So the machine, helps me out. All of y'all are laughing at me. I'm glad I could be a laugh. I can't believe I let that slip, guys. I cannot believe. I have been so good. I've been on this channel since January. And I have maintained it since January. We're in August. I didn't even make it a year before I let it slip. Okay, so now you guys officially know that I am actively working on it. Oh, that's so funny. I feel bad, but I don't feel bad at the same time. Now I can say that if YouTube doesn't cancel me over that, which they shouldn't because I've heard worse from other channels. Not quilting channels, but if they don't cancel me over that, then I'm happy. Alright, I think I'm just going to end up stitching over some of these threads, guys. I haven't buried any of them. I think that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to, once I take a break, I'll come back and bury the threads. So that when I come back to this evening, or come back to stitching again, that all my threads will be buried from the previous blocks. So you guys won't see the rat's nest that it is creating. I was actually, when I was stitching by myself, Mike says, really, that was nothing. I know, but it's the spirit of it, right? It's the spirit of it. So now you guys know, if you didn't know before, I am real. I am not AI generated. Not that I think AI could come up with some of this weird stuff that I say. I mean, AI probably could, but you guys now officially know I'm not AI generated and I am a real person. Alright, so that is the last of this block. So this will be it for today, or for now. And then I think I will go, I may go try to catch that garage sale. I'm not sure. And leave my husband here watching his football stuff. Because it is still going. It's going to be going all day. Apparently the kickoff football game is in Ireland. And it's Georgia versus something. I don't know. Glenda says, I stopped swearing for several years, but to be around certain people that upset me, I started back. Mike said, ha 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 to AI. No AI here. No, there is no AI here. Absolutely no AI. AI would end up, could you imagine if AI was in quilting? Here's the perfect scenario. If AI did exist in quilting. When you go to stitch all these, stitches, when you get done, your threads are already tied off and buried like they're supposed to be. That would be fantastic. Yeah, there's no AI here. Upset me. Yes, right? I'm trying. I'm behaving, mostly. All right. So, let me swap you guys to the main camera. And in case you guys wonder, so I've got my machine table and I have a plastic table and I have a plastic table. So I have two of those plastic folding tables set up. That is what is holding this quilt weight. So I'm not struggling with it. And we'll turn Beauty off so she's not running extra hours. And so I've got one entire row completely done down the length. But that's what the quilt block looks like when it is quilted. And that one, I have already stitched in the ditch around the dark blue. So what I'm going to do, because the medium blue is where it is, what I'm going to end up doing is I will start at one, let's see, I'll start here and go down, go around the blue and come back up. So I'm not going to stitch it separately. It's going to stitch all in one thing. Because I'll be able to continue and I'll stitch around the corner squares, all of that. Okay, so we have got 6 blocks done, so we've got 6 more to go. So what I will do, I will go ahead, we will be back on tonight. Andrea says, wow, so beautiful. Yeah, it will be eventually. When it's done, it'll be beautiful. It'll be gorgeous. It's not there yet. It's not there yet, but we're getting there. You know, a little bit at a time, right? A little bit at a time. So I will bury the threads sometime today, and then I'm not sure what time I'm going to go back live. I'm thinking we may get back on about 5 o'clock tonight, 5 or 6, and just stitch till 10. So, you know, that would be giving me like 5 hours or so, 4 to 5 hours. So I should be able to get a good 4 or 5 of these done. Since it took me 2 hours to get 3, or well, 2.5, to get 3 blocks done. Then I should be able to get 6 done maybe in 5 hours, maybe something like that. So we'll see how it goes. I may have to get up and, you know, like go get food, or, you know, human needs break or something like that. But I think that's what we'll do, is we'll try to go back live again this evening. So 5 o'clock my time is Mountain Time. 6, I mean, it's going to be impromptu, so I'm not going to schedule it. So if you guys just want to make sure you've got your notifications turned on for my channel, we will try to go. We are working towards those watch hours. Yes, we are. We are. I think Halloween is going to put us over the edge, because that one's going to be putting together Halloween Town. I've only got 9 of those done. I've got 16 left to go. So I've got 16 of those left to go. But if we can get this done today, this gets this off my table, and all I'll have to do is bind it, which won't be that big a deal. Bind it and label it. So that won't be that hard. So just keep an eye out for the channel, and we will see about going live again later today. I may get another block or 2 done before then. I don't know. Just depends on how I feel. And I will see you guys later. Thank you for being here. Thank you. And I will see you guys later, or I will see you tomorrow night for my normal after sunset Sundays. All right.